Good morning. Today's February 4th, 2026. It is a 7-day. Sevens are cool. Seven's my life path. 7 days are about introspection and discovery, research, deep diving. Last night I was thinking about the book of Ruth in the Bible, and I was specifically looking into the story of Ruth and Boaz, and I made a huge discovery about the lineage and all of the genealogy that's in the Old and New Testament. I don't know, because something about it got me questioning. Okay, so from Abraham to David, there are 14 generations. From King David to the Babylonian exile, 14 generations. From the exile to Christ, 14 more generations. 14 is the temperance card, right? It's all about balance, moderation, blending opposites, patience, harmony, and alchemical fusion, and the alchemical fusion of dualities. So I was like, well, hold on a minute. I said, Christ told parables. How he taught lessons for the people were stories. And the whole Bible is stories. And then I got to thinking about how, like, Christ's main message was that you are God and we are one. And I don't remember what book it was, but in one of the teachings it says that Christ is already in you. So also the number 14, the Hebrew spelling, which would look like the English letters D, W, and D. David. If you go to a gematria, I don't know, calculator, and you put in David, it brings you to the number 14. So King David links to the number 14. So it emphasizes the royal, sovereign, messianic promise with Christ as the son of David. $14 means, I'm getting somewhere with this. 14 means after wrestling with dualities, you integrate them. The middle way tempers the fire of struggle, allowing the divine to harmonize you within. Okay. So I was thinking about this number 14 and how Christ taught in parables. And there's so much emphasis in the Old Testament of so much emphasis on ancestry and lineage. From Adam came Cain and Abel, and from Cain came these generations. Like, it's all linking to the Christ. And I got to thinking about that, and I was like, well, what if the Christ lineage from the New Testament had a story to tell also? And I looked up the stories associated with the ancestry in Matthew chapter 1, and I realized that the 14 generations, there's like 7 stories that have a lesson to teach us about the 7 chakras. And how okay, so Jacob and Esau, their stories, the twins, the devil and Christ are seen as twins in some traditions. Jesus is a story. He is a story. His lineage tells more stories. But those stories are meant to help us grow. I was thinking about this morning, sitting here, and I wanted to pull some cards. Just what does Spirit have to say? The first card I pull is this. Haunted. I heard the song Haunted by Poe. It's a beautiful story. This is the ghosts of our past. Shine a light on your shadow. That's an old wound, memory, or persistent trouble. Haunted is a disturbance of your inner peace. Maybe your thoughts are out there and your emotions just running crazy, doing whatever they do. You're reactive. The haunting needs to be told who's boss. Gaining control of your emotions and thoughts helps cleanse the oppressive feelings and raises your vibration. At the bottom of the deck, Sovereign. Between stimulus and response, there's a space, and in that space is our power to choose our response. So, Haunted is about the chaos that's created with our thoughts that are just going crazy, and the energy around us is chaotic and we have no control. And Sovereign says, call your power back. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Viktor Frankl said this. I'll read it again. Between stimulus and response, there is a space, and that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies the growth, and our freedom. I had this friend many years ago who since passed away. She came from Icelandic lineage, so very, very spiritual people, but more in the metaphysical sense because they were very religious Christians. I mean, think about the Catholics who also practice hoodoo and voodoo. I mean, these are very spiritual people, but they don't exactly, I don't know that they don't understand. They're still caught up in the Matrix. Anyway, so this woman's name was Maka. She had an aunt over in Iceland who read tea leaves, and of course she linked up with me, and my friend Ness was her sister-in-law, and we were very much into the idea that magic exists. and we just do things. We don't know why we're doing them. Anyway, Margaret, we can call her Margaret. She relapsed about 10 years before she passed away, and she was raising her son. I think he was about 5 at the time. Her youngest son, he was about 5 at the time, and she was seeing all kinds of like weird phenomena with her naked eye in her house. And she would do this crazy shit where she would like turn all the lights off and just go around with a camera and take pictures. Now I am going to have to say she got a couple cool pictures. She got one of some spirits. There was a little boy and a man in the kitchen, and they were like directly looking at each other, and the little boy was sitting on the counter, and I was like, holy shit, Maka. And she was like, yeah. She was like, I felt it there. And I like kind of saw it, but the picture totally confirmed it. Dude, that was the coolest fucking thing I ever saw in my life. But anyway, she was taking pictures of dumb shit, like light phenomenon, lens flashes and shit. And she was calling it demons and whatnot. And she was fucking losing it. So I would go over there about once every 4 to 6 weeks, I guess, with my sage bundles and crystals, and I would like, reinforce the protection in her house. Mind you, she was completely capable of doing it herself, and I repeatedly told her, if you're going to put black cat oil crosses over every single one of the entryways to your house, you need to be doing it, not me. I mean, we would go through the house together. We would do sage smoke in the doorways and say a prayer and then move on to the next one. And mind you, I never knew why I was doing it, but honestly, I was just doing it to appease her. I just didn't understand the science behind why I was doing it. She gave her power away when she chose to relapse. Gave her ability away to see what was actually going on. For her, this was very true. For me, the only energy I ever felt in that house was a couple of human type spirits, souls. There were actually a couple of angels that also were in her house. And again, I didn't understand that this is just energy. It's everywhere, but she was calling that energy in, and it was haunting her. And she was doing it to herself. It was haunting her. She didn't know what was going on. She was in a drug-induced psychosis, and she was losing her shit. And she was seeing ghosts everywhere. Mind you, she was seeing ghosts everywhere, but she wasn't listening to her own intuition. Back to the Sovereign card. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, and the crown symbolizes self-control, self-discipline, and personal power. Maka had given her power away, so she had lost her mind. By reigning in your own right, you become a servant to a higher cause, answerable to the eternal self in a more evolved way. We're playing a long game. This isn't a sprint. Life is a marathon. We go through life and we stumble and we wrestle with God, and sometimes God breaks our hip and we have to integrate that lesson. And then we go on to the next thing. And we get a little bit cocky and get thrown into the lion's den. Another lesson that needs to be integrated. We need to break the patterns of self-sabotage. in undermining your personal power is to learn your triggers under pressure. Nothing happens to you. It always happens for you. So when you begin to undermine your own personal power, you now gain the ability to understand what those triggers are. And just like a border collies learn freaking great when they're in like hyper spastic reactive mode. And then they learn how to be in that heightened state of drive and think through it. Understand your triggers under pressure. Choose not to engage until you're stable. Okay, so the lineage of Christ. The story of Abraham. Let's just start there because that's where it is in Matthew 1. The story of Abraham is about faith. God gives Abraham, an old man who is still living at home with his parents. He's playing video games down in the basement. No responsibility of his own, and God comes to him and gives him the spirit of adventure and says, go, leave your parents' house. You know, and then he marries Sarah. And she's an old woman, and God says, I'm going to give you a child. And at 90 years old, Sarah gives birth to Isaac. And then God again tells Abraham that he needs to do something he's not comfortable with and tells him to go up to the mountain and sacrifice his son. They chose to sacrifice a lamb instead. He chose his son. And God rewarded him for it. He passed the test. Abraham's story is about faith. It's root chakra stuff. Go get uncomfortable and go out into the world and learn these lessons. Haunted and sovereign. These are the lessons that haunt us until we integrate and choose our sovereignty. Once we integrate the 14 temperance card, you know, we go through these lessons, boom, 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 void, time for integration. And then it happens again. After the integration, you've got more lessons and you hit a void again. How are you responding this time? That's how cycles break. Pulled some more cards. I used the Shaman's Dream Oracle this time, and the first card to come out is card number 34, and 34 equals 7 when you break it down to numerology. I'm telling you these things because this is how that I knew that these cards were related back to last night's research. Okay, this card says Lay of the Land, Ancestral Wisdom. This is past lessons and being well informed. So learning from those past lessons. Explore and discover a new terrain in your life. Even be part of the wave of change. Abraham was given the spirit of adventure. Others have laid well-worn paths and left wisdom for you to rely and reflect upon. Seek a mentor or good advice from an expert or elder. And then I heard, victory is ours, because we're getting ready to go through a transformation. We are in transformation. We're changing. We're integrating those lessons. The next card, card number 4, 4 is about stability, the foundations that we build. This says cat or pillar. This is opportunity, transformation, independence from conditioned responses. Time to get out of your comfort zone. If it looks and sounds familiar, go away from it for a time. Remember, victory is ours. All right, so this card says new energy cannot emerge from the old. We have to get rid of things to make space for the new things. This is an invitation to test out a new strategy to get a better result, because we do the same shit over and over and over and over again the same way, expecting a different result every time. It's literally the definition of insanity. We run the same loops over and over and over and over again, and we expect something different. We get into relationships with people, and it's the same fucking pattern that destroyed the last relationship. We have to do something different. Okay, then going back to the Sovereign card, no response until you're stable. Okay, when you do act, let there be no doubt in anyone's mind of your determination and power that you unleash. People need to see you. I'm seeing 444 and 2202 on the timer. People need to see you doing something different. When they see you doing something different, they're going to be shocked, and they're going to want to know what you did different, because they're going to want to do something different. And that's how we break generational patterns. At the bottom of the deck is the card Drifter. It's card number 14. 14 generations to integration. 14 is integration. Drifter. This card says experiencing life as it... That's funny. The guidebook talked about the compass, and there it is right after. The last compass says getting back to integrity. Integrity, that's the Justice card. 34, 35. So we have a mild progression, but the Drifter card goes with the compass. Okay, let me read this. The Drifter is experiencing life as it comes. What lights you up? What lights you up? Like, what makes you excited? This is seeking the essence. Not yet, not knowing its form. So this is no expectation. This is just go. Just go. It's not important to know the destination before you set sail. Yours is pure love and your intention to be free, even of your own beliefs and preconceptions. So this card talks about drifting onto a path, even of thought process. Okay. Why do you think the things that you think? Why do you believe what you believe? Does somebody else offer a different opinion or perspective that you are now freely open to explore on your own? You are the only one who understands that others are running full out on the hamster wheel and getting nowhere. Because you now have the ability to drift. You are now able to see that other people are running those loops. Choosing the ghosts that haunt them over and over and over again and not recognizing it. This is you being, it's not frantic doing. The drifter helps you to find what you are looking for, even when you didn't think you were seeking anything. The book goes further into say about the compass. A lot, you know, you kind of have to have the compass with the drifters so that you kind of have an idea what direction you need to be going, but you are free to go wherever you please. And the compass says getting back to integrity, finding the way home, and trusting your intuition. When the lost compass appears, it is a sign that you need to find your way back home, back to your source and center, relying on your intuition to arrive there. So the drifter card kind of talked about that too. Just go and let your spirit guide you. But you kind of have the compass so that way you don't get too far away from source. Too far away from your integrity. Remember what happened to me last week. I kind of got lost for a minute. Needed to recenter myself. So all right, so the message for today seems to be don't forget who you are. Call your power back. Justice card is number 11. There it is. So justice and temperance. Call your power back, man. Don't forget who you are. It's so easy to get caught back up in loops and cycles. But we can go back to these stories, like the list of the ancestors in the book of Matthew. I mean, if we're not understanding the parables, then we can go back to the stories of the ancestors. And we can look and see what they went through and how they managed to get out of it. Because now we know that God is in us. And these are stories to teach us how to pull our heads out of our asses and get out of the holes that we dig for ourselves. Transformation is here. And we are building new foundations. Solid foundations upon this rock. I build my church. We are the church, the ecclesia. But the church is literally God itself. 444. Solid foundations in triplicate. Don't respond until you're stable and understanding yourself. And with that, I love you guys. I'll catch you on the next one.